Hello and welcome to day 78 of the Not Alone Today Chronological Bible Reading Plan with Joseph and Anu. Today we'll be reading Judges chapter 21, the last chapter in Judges. And now we'll be using the New International Version UK.
Chapter 21. The men of Israel are taking an oath at Mizpah. Not one of us will give his daughter in marriage to a Benjaminite.
The people went to Bethel, where they sat before God until evening, raising their voices and weeping bitterly. Lord God of Israel, they cried, why has this happened to Israel? Why should one tribe be missing from Israel today?
Early the next day, the people built an altar and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings.
Then the Israelites asked, who from all the tribes of Israel has failed to assemble before the Lord? For they are taking a solemn oath that anyone who failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah was to be put to death.
Now the Israelites grieved for the tribe of Benjamin, their fellow Israelites. Today one tribe is cut off from Israel, they said. How can we provide wives for those who are left? And since we have taken an oath by the Lord not to give them any of our daughters in marriage. Then they asked, which one of the tribes of Israel failed to assemble before the Lord at Mizpah? They discovered that no one from Jabesh Gilead had come to the camp for the assembly. For when they counted the people, they found that none of the people of Jabesh Gilead were there.
So the assembly sent 12,000 fighting men with instructions to go to Jabesh Gilead and put to the sword those living there, including the women and children. This is what you are to do, they said. Kill every male and every woman who is not a virgin. They found among the people living in Jabesh Gilead 400 young women who had never slept with a man, and they took them to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan.
Then the whole assembly sent an offer of peace to the Benjaminites at the rock of Rimmon. So the Benjaminites returned at that time and were given the women of Jabesh Gilead who had been spared. But there were not enough for all of them.
The people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel. And the elders of the assembly said, with the women of Benjamin destroyed, how shall we provide wives to the men who are left? The Benjaminite survivors must have heirs, they said, so that the tribe of Israel will not be wiped out. We can't give them our daughters as wives, since we Israelites have taken this oath. Cursed be anyone who gives his wife to a Benjaminite. But look, there is the annual festival of the Lord in Shiloh, which lies north of Bethel, east of the road that goes from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebanah.
So they instructed the Benjaminites, saying, go and hide in the vineyards, and watch. When the young women of Shiloh come out to join in the dancing, rush from the vineyards, and each of you seize one of them to be your wife. Then return to the land of Benjamin. When their fathers or brothers complain to us, we will say to them, do us the favor of helping them, because we did not get wives for them during the war. You will not be guilty of breaking your oath because you did not give your daughters to them.
So that is what the Benjaminites did. While the young women were dancing, each man caught one and carried her off to be his wife. Then they returned to their inheritance and rebuilt the towns and settled in them.
At that time the Israelites left that place and went home to their tribes and clans, each to his own inheritance.
In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The summary of chapter 21 goes thus. The Benjaminites, after they were destroyed, the Israelites started to mourn for them and felt that the remaining Benjamins might be wiped out because there are no women to marry them. And the Israelites had already taken oath not to give their daughters as wives to the Benjaminites. So therefore, they concocted a plan wherein that whichever tribe is not present at the assembly in Bethel, that tribe will be killed and the young women will be given to the Benjaminites. They did this, but it was not enough for them. So again, another plan was concocted to say that when young women are dancing, are returning from Shiloh dancing, the Benjaminites should take the women as wives, and if their fathers and brothers complain, the Israelites would explain to them that they didn't actually give the women to the Benjaminites because they were taken, and this is what happened. And then we're told at the latter part of the chapter that Israel had no king, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes.
Thank you. What stood out to you?
I'll let you go first.
Because it's a continuation of the uneasy read of chapters 19 and 20, in which case all that is screaming off the pages is how women are treated as property, wiping out a community and sparing only the virgins, so that those virgins can be given to the surviving men of another tribe that had also messed up. And then because the women would not go around, the next thing is to think of kidnapping one for yourself. At least now the fathers had not handed them over to you, but you've kidnapped them, and that should be okay, and that should excuse you from whatever curses had been placed on those who do go ahead to give wives to the Benjaminites. It's just all a very dark picture, to put it mildly. But yeah, in those days Israel had no king, and everyone did as they saw fit. Just think of a lawless society, really. Like when we say, oh, they are being lawless, then you get to see the height or the depth, as the case may be, of the depravity of the human nature. And that's what we've seen, especially in these last 4-5 chapters of Judges, from the privatization of a priest to commercialization of the priesthood, to unnecessary wars, to homosexuality, to rape, gang rape, to murder, to genocide of some sort. It's just one evil upon the other. Because again, they had no king, including God, and everyone just did whatever they thought was right in their own eyes. What stood out to you?
My first question is, how did they know those 400 women were virgins? Because when we were reading Deuteronomy about sexual purity, or about anything that has to do with how you are internally, is the person that gets to tell you. So a woman who is going through a menstrual period gets to be the one who comes to the tent of meeting to offer sacrifice after she's finished.
Yeah.
So how did they know that these 400 women they took from Jabesh Gilead were virgins?
I have no idea. It might be something cultural in terms of how they appear, how they dress. But yeah, or it might just be in terms of age. But otherwise, I have no idea.
Yeah, so the second thing that was curious again is the women that went out dancing. So the picture is quite morbid though. So people went to celebrate the annual festival of the Lord, and they are coming out dancing. But some leaders has authorized some men to hide in some rocks and then steal this woman and carry them off to be the wife. Isn't that action the same thing as the Gibeah did? That they were killed for it. So when the Levites in was it 17 to 19, 19 to 20, chapter 19 to 20, send the limbs of the concubine that they cut up to the Israelites.
Yeah.
The thing they said to them was quite pivotal. It said, who has ever seen such a thing done in Israel? And now they are doing the same thing that the Gibeah did to that one concubine, but instead of it being a gang rape, it's just one person raping another person. So, because the thing is, they didn't tell the Benjaminites to go speak with the women, or attend a festival with them, see which one they would like as a wife, talk to them, and if there's an agreement, go home with them. But this one is carry her off to be your wife. Same action, but somehow justified because we're mourning for a lack of tribe. And nowhere did they go to God to ask if this gap is his intention. again, they're doing what is right in their eyes. The same thing Samson did. He would see with his eyes and go for it, in spite of any repercussion. And it just leave a chilling note.
It does. I mean, there's a part of me that just wants to turn the page already and get to the familiar story of Ruth, which is what we will be considering on day 79. But yeah, it's a stark picture with many questions. But of course, we also know, looking forward to Jesus and the redemption story, we know that all of this problematic portrayal of women in the ancient Near East, and reflected even in the history, the evolving history of the Israelites as we are journeying through it, Jesus began to change the narrative in very radical, revolutionary way. Not least of which is him appearing first to a woman before he would appear to his disciples. Women saw him first. And the very gospel message, the good news as we call it, of him being risen, was first shared through the lips of women. And that will go on to begin a chain of restoration for the female gender, such that will prompt Apostle Paul to write in Galatians 3, there is no male nor female, no Jew or Greek. All of us are one in Christ Jesus, bringing back a restoration of that created order where he made them male and female in his image and after his likeness, which is how it should be, which is how it has always been intended to be. But we move on to the book of Ruth, again still within this same context, in the times when there was no king and everyone did what was right in their eyes, but we find a fascinating love story. So join us on day 79 as we flip the page and move on to that. But till then, just remember,
you're not alone
today. God bless you.